Hello everyone. So this is a psychic reading on David WIlcock. If you don't know who he is a conspiracy theorist. He talks about all sorts of conspiracy theories and interesting things and past civilizations, etc., etc. And he can get into metaphysics and spirituality as well. So I usually do readings and then kind of write down some notes and say what came up for me. But this time I'm just going to do a live reading and just say it as it's coming to me on camera. So I will be doing this with my eyes closed, and also a lot of the way things come through are more symbolic than literal. So let me take a moment here and get ready for this. Okay, so I'm seeing David WIlcock being kind of confused about something. It's like he's throwing his arms up in the air, and it's like he doesn't know what to do about something here. Let me see what is going on here. He doesn't know what to do about the public opinion of him. It seems that the public is a little bit less interested in him than in the past. It's almost as if what he's saying is becoming less relevant, like in the sense that what he used to talk about used to be more information that was coming from him and less from other sources, but there's more sources saying this information so that it makes his perspective on it less relevant. And I get the sense that a lot of his perspective is there's a bit of a narrative to it all, and it's not so much the single origin of information. It's more like the bigger picture, like connecting the dots. And so it looks like there's a lot of information that he gets that are like little small stories, if you want to call it that, or they come across as like smaller deals, and he kind of likes to take them all and put them together into like more of a big deal. I get the sense that there's a bit of this, like he likes that more. He wants things to be more of a big deal. That's what drives him, is this narrative that's kind of connecting all sorts of different stories together. It seems that some of this can be pulling him a little bit off track from finding the truth. It's almost like he's becoming more philosophical in nature. And it's not necessarily about exposing these particular truths. It's more about his overall philosophy and philosophical perspective, and that seems to be kind of taking the stage and creating a persona for him and a drive for him. And it seems that that is what is becoming the thing that validates things for him. Like, if he finds information that goes along with his narrative, then for him that's a way of validating it. Although what I'm getting is that a lot of these bigger picture ideas about the more small stories that he talks about, a lot of that is coming from people who have kind of just drawn their own conclusions that are not necessarily based in reality. So I'm seeing him becoming a little in his head about things and a little less grounded. It seems that in the past there was a little bit more of this uncertainty, but he's become more certain about things, which, you know, it's good to have certainty, I suppose, but at the same time, it's like, it's not really rooted in reality all the time, is what I'm getting here. And it seems that he's kind of run away with a little bit of this narrative, and he's found people who are pushing these narratives. I don't get the sense that he is being controlled or like working for someone else. I've heard, there's always conspiracy theories about the conspiracy theorists, and I don't see him, working for someone else or intentionally spreading misinformation or anything like that. I see this coming from his authenticity. Like he's being authentic in what he's doing. It looks like he's really a self-made man, and there's something really awesome about this, actually, energetically. Like, like he's really manifested what he wants into his life. Like he's created his reality, and he lives it, and it's not on anyone else's terms. I do get the sense that it's kind of like a castle, like he's built his own castle, but with that there's these castle walls, and so the walls block people out. And so he seems to be, there's a little bit of like this defense mechanism, or he kind of has his guard up, and he doesn't let many people into his personal life, or even just his career life, or just like he's well guarded, is what I'm trying to say. And it looks like he's putting up these walls to anything that doesn't really fit with his narrative, and his crew is what's coming up, like his people. And it seems like he's become more attached to certain men in particular that have a perspective, and it's almost like feels that he needs to shield himself from anything else. It kind of reminds me of the way that someone in a church might, blame witches or Satan or something like that, or evil, for anything that contradicts their philosophy. And it seems a little bit like that. Like there's a little bit of this condemning, pointing the finger at other people and blaming them as if there's some sort of conspiracy against his information, when in fact they're not conspiring against him. But he's kind of making it out to be as if he's found the ultimate truth, and there's some conspiracy against him, and this truth, when in fact it's actually kind of the other way around, and it's more so that the truth stands for itself, and sometimes that contradicts some of the narratives that he's been fed by other people. So I want to see these other people. I do get Corey Good coming up here as one of the people who kind of has his own narrative, and it's not like being done to deceive people as much as it is just kind of like his own perspective, and that's affecting David WIlcock's perspective, and that is making him less neutral as an observer, and it's definitely adding to everything that I was just describing. Let me see if there's anyone else. Maybe there are people who are intentionally spreading disinformation. Let me see if anything's showing up around that. Well, what I'm getting is that there are people who are spiritually inclined, and they have ideas about things that they feel is right, and there may be some truth to it, and they present it in a very scientific way, and I'm seeing this affecting his views on things. So it's like, again, being spoon-fed narratives that are not necessarily grounded in reality, although there may be truth to it, is what I'm getting. But it's like he's just trying to connect too many dots, and he's trying to take all this information and he takes it as faith. Like, he's very faithful. He really takes things as truth, and then he tries to meld them all together, and it seems like this is causing him a little bit of strife. It looks like this, in the past, things really kind of fit together more. It seems like more and more so things are making less and less sense when you try and put it all together. There's a little bit of anger around this. And it's like he doesn't really understand where this is coming from, like why this is that he's experiencing this little bit of like dissatisfaction. And it looks like he may be projecting that more towards the general public as his viewers, and I don't know if his viewers have gone down, but I get the sense that he has less like, people are giving him less credibility, and he's becoming less relevant. I see this affecting him into the future too. It looks like in like 10 years or so there may be some sort of build-up breaking point where he kind of detaches from this. Maybe he retires around that time. So it would be like 2032 or so. And it seems like he becomes more of a well-respected figure of the past, and that seems to work much better for him because he's not clinging to these ideas, he's not defending his ideas, he really identifies with his ideas. It's almost like that is him, and his social life is his ideas, or his social life is his convictions, and so he takes these very seriously and he will defend them. And this seems to be, you could call it a blockage for him. This seems to be a challenge for him. This seems to be adding strife to him and not allowing him to really experience life, just enjoying it to the fullest. Let me see, what else am I not seeing here? it's like part of him wants to let go of these convictions and move on. And I'm seeing a woman, and he's like trying to just like enjoy his life, but then it's like it's just kind of like sneaks up on him, these convictions and these ideas. It's like his head is just like non-stop thinking. It's almost like he just can't stop thinking, and I would hate to be like stuck hearing his thoughts all the time, because it just seems like he just he gets stuck in his head, and it's just like a cycle of thoughts of trying to kind of like prove his theories, and it seems very important for him. And like, how is he going to explain this? And like, kind of like in his head, he's like doing a speech all the time, defending his perspective on things. So he seems very authentic though, and he seems to have actually done something pretty amazing here, and kind of pretty magical, I would say, in the sense that he's really a self-made man, and he's really like manifested his own like path in life that is totally unique and just like his path. He's carved his own path that kind of goes against society, which is really cool. And it's like, again, it's like he has this kingdom that he lives in. The challenge to it is that it's rooted in these convictions. So once he's able to kind of let that go a little bit more and not feel like he's on edge, like he has to defend it all the time, like he has, like I'm seeing like someone sitting with a shotgun like in front of their house, like guarding like the property, guarding the yard, like he has to constantly guard his convictions like that. That is the problem with it. But regardless, what he's done is pretty amazing, and it is coming from an authentic place. So let me see if there's anything more that I'm not seeing here. He seems, his spirit seems appreciative of this reading. But his body consciousness is, it's almost like traumatized a little bit. I'm getting that this guardedness, being guarded, goes back to like maybe even before high school, and having to guard himself and protect himself. This seems to be a little bit of, I guess you could call it trauma from childhood. This doesn't seem to be like parental abuse or anything like that. This is more like kids in school and being teased. He's very sensitive. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that like he's sensitive to energy too. Like he's very intuitive as well. And he can kind of intuitively tell when someone is being genuine with him or not. Although this takes me back to the narratives he's being fed. And it's like these narratives are coming from the heart that people are telling him, because these people really believe what they're saying, and there is truth to it. but he's really kind of, he's learning to be more discerning. And there's this level of discernment where he kind of really just takes things at face value. Not anything, but like once someone or something has passed the sniff test, then anything they say is like taken on face value. It's kind of like all or nothing here. So a little bit more discernment seems to be where he's growing, where he's learning in life, is to be more discerning. So that's let's see maybe if there's anything more that's gonna show up really quick here. There's a sense of aloneness here. And even though he has these buddies, this crew, as I was saying it earlier, there's this coldness to his social life. I'm not seeing this with women, I'm seeing this more with men. I get the sense that he has a really nice home life. And it's like his castle, his kingdom, his domain. And like he is very powerful and like totally at home, but when it comes to like public relations, there's this coldness. And it's kind of like he's missing something that he felt he had in the past, but now he's questioning if he really had that in the past, or if it was just something he kind of thought he had. And this is part of the energy that I'm seeing that he's struggling in currently, in present time, with this. It's funny because he's so sure and so certain, but then in other ways he's not. He's uncertain about his social dynamics, the structure of his social life. He's very unsure of that. It's almost like there's something where he may feel slightly disrespected, or like where he felt he was important to people, he's realizing that these people are kind of ignoring him and pushing him out and kind of going against what he's about. And he's realizing this. But I see him getting more into more of the metaphysical and like space technology seems to be coming up, and that seems to be like secret space program type information seems to be. Actually, I take it back. It's not quite that. It's more like the metaphysical elements around that. It's like he's kind of using that information as like the small stories, like what I was talking about earlier. And he's using these small bits of information, and he's kind of focusing more on the overall overreaching bigger picture of the metaphysical. And it looks like this is more of his savings grace. This is really where he shines. And it looks like this is very healing for him as well, to have this experience. He's very interested in it. He's very, this is good for his mental health because he loves what he's doing, and he's finding truth and meaning to his life, but also just everything, all of existence. He's learning to use his intuition in doing this, and I'm getting that a lot of his spiritual and metaphysical understanding is entirely intuitive, and he just kind of can sense that something is true, and he uses the information to kind of build upon that structure and kind of lead more down that path to more self-realization. So there is a level of enlightenment here. I get the sense that, again, with the kingdom thing, there's a sense of being kind of better than other people and wanting to block other people out, which can be dangerous. But I also get that it's not all just arrogance either. I do see there actually being some enlightenment here, and also wanting to have that space to operate in, and how society can be not in alignment with that, so that he needs to kind of put up these walls to separate from that. So on some level that is helpful, although I get that long term it's not so much, it's more just something he needs to break away from in the immediate. But then what I'm getting is that as he kind of shifts his energy and changes from the mainstream, if you want to call it that, just the world that's kind of holding him back from doing his own individual thing and kind of finding his own enlightenment. As he shifts from that, there's a period where he needs to, break the mold, so to speak, and that's where having his space really helps. But then there's a point where he's done that, and it's good to kind of connect back with society, and that he would actually be healed more from that, and it would actually be a healing process, and he would find more acceptance than kind of having his walls up, so to speak. But it looks like there's this little bit of this distrust in other people and society at large that slows this process down, but it is still happening, and I do see this being a healing process for him. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that, and I'm just going to clear out this energy so that it's not lingering in my space. Okay, thank you for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you watched it all the way to the end. And yeah, thank you for watching and have a great day.